All right, we're going to get started with our post-race media availability for today's Long John Silver's 200 with the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. We're joined by our race winner, Corey Heim, driver of the number 11 Safe Flight Toyota. Corey, why don't you just take us through that kind of abbreviated ending there for you?
Yeah, I think, my team has been working extremely hard these past couple weeks. Tricon, my 11 team has been, doing everything they can to put us in a good position. We've been, I think our weak point has been qualifying over the past couple months, and we started fourth, and I instantly knew that there was a chance that we could go out and win the race today. So I did everything in my power and got the lead, and, as you saw, the rain came down, and we ended up with it. But it's pretty cool to be here. I think even though this race was cut short, I sat here as a 16-year-old, 4 or 5 years ago, and got a win taken from me, kind of in a pretty dramatic fashion. So I've really wanted that grandfather clock for a long time, and I came here with the vengeance to get it, and here we are.
Awesome. We'll now open up to questions. If you have a question, raise your hand. We'll get a wireless mic to you. We'll start in the back with Zach, and we'll come up here.
Zach Sterniola with NASCAR.com. Corey, what was your take on the rain tire and how it handled on that first 25-lap stint? And did you feel like it was doing the job that you expected it to do?
Yeah, it seemed like a lot of people had a lot of different reactions with their trucks. I think it was all about air pressure. So Scott and my crew really hit it on the dot right there and really gave us a good opportunity right from the start. But not to go unnoticed, all the effort that Toyota Racing and TRD puts in to kind of get that down to a science. So it's been just a lot of work and a lot of different angles this year to get to this point. It certainly hasn't been easy to see clean air and be out front, but the rain tires were certainly a curveball for us. But just all the effort behind the scenes that goes into make uncomfortable situations comfortable, I think is a point to be drawn right there.
Trey Lyle, frontstretch.com, and the Virginia Talk Radio Network. Corey, congrats on the win. The constant caution laps and then the constant restarts and then ultimately getting that final restart. What was your kind of mindset, each time you're restarting? Obviously, you have, the series champion, and then you have Kyle Busch kind of as the two cars behind you.
Yeah, it wasn't easy to see the 51 and the 38 behind me, but my spotter Tony Hirschman really kept me calm through all of that. Really just coaching me every step of the way, from my first lap out in practice to the very last lap of the race. He was giving me information that would really benefit me, and I think the restarts really proved that. Just when to launch and when not to launch in the areas that it was still wet. So I found a good launch point, and I hit it every time, and it's definitely required to be perfect, when you're racing around those guys, and I think we really did a good job of doing that today.
Go to Bob.
Bob Hockers, Fox Sports. If they told you they were going to put the rain tires back on there for the last 70 laps, would you have been ready for it?
I'd have been ready. Yeah, I drove to second from fourth, to begin the race with the wet. It definitely would have been different with the concrete being wet. I think that would have been a little bit, different from the start where it was completely dry in the corners and wet on the straightaways. But, I really was curious to see the transition between the wet concrete and the dry concrete and the wet asphalt. But it really didn't seem to have much of an issue with that transition at all. So I really don't think if it was to rain and, get a little bit more wet throughout the track, I don't think that would have been an issue at all.
And, nobody kind of really knew what the procedures were going to be with these wet weather tires. Were you okay with kind of the way everything was handled?
I think, you can only control what's in our control, and I feel like our Safe Flight team today did a good job of that. But, as far as the way NASCAR handled it, I don't see any better way to do it. I think we rode around for a while that last, 20 laps under caution. I was screaming on the radio that it was pouring rain. I could barely see out my windshield, but I guess there's a smaller cell, so they were hoping it was going to pass, and I respect it. So, huge props to the fans too for really sticking it out today. Definitely not what they wanted to see, but I feel like we got a little bit of good racing in at the very least. So, NASCAR definitely wanted to put on a good show for those fans, and they tried their best, but didn't work out tonight for them.
Michael Massey, front stretch. Corey, 5 years ago, there was a late model race here where you were leading when the checkered flag flew, and you did not get a grandfather clock. Does this make up for that at all?
I don't think it'll ever get that day back. I was definitely very green to racing in general. It was one of my first starts in a late model ever, or in a stock car ever, I should say. But today definitely feels a similar vibe as it did years ago, where the race didn't have a very, cut close finish to it. It just kind of ended in a really weird way, and so did that late model race. But once again, I put myself in a position to win just like I did 5 years ago, and here we are, with a different result. So it just proves racing, and especially stock car racing, is never just going to be you go out and you do the best you can and you win the race. Sometimes, you have to have a little bit of luck, and here we are today, and we win the race with some luck.
Go ahead to the back.
Evening, Jasmine Sharp with the podium finish. What's your guys' strategy from now on? What is your mindset now that you're basically secured in the playoffs? How are you guys going to play it out? Any specific tracks that you really want to nail down, basically, or are you guys just pulling 110% from now on out?
I think it could definitely make our strategy a little bit more aggressive to go for wins in the future. But, I think with Scott Zipadelli on the box week in and week out, he's going to put me in a position to succeed. And there's been races where we've had a 10th place truck and we end up 4th with it. And there's been days where, the opposite has happened, but he's done everything he possibly can to get us up front. So I feel like, I haven't been perfect this year, but, everyone under me and everyone supporting me really has done a good job at doing so. So to be able to kind of put everything together today and make the right calls to stay out front when it mattered most and do everything I could on my part is definitely going to pay off, and it did today.
Do we have any final questions for Corey? All right, Corey, thanks. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you, guys.